Welcome to the Getting Through Today podcast. I'm Brita. Come along with me as I share my story of the ups and downs through chronic illness and depression, all while being a mother of 5. I know healing is possible, and through every phase there is beauty, even if we don't always see it at the time. I know what it feels like to just get through one day at a time. Let's get started. Hello, beautiful warriors. Welcome back. I am so grateful you're joining me. Today's episode is close to my heart. We are diving into something that I have personally navigated, which is parenting while managing chronic illness. This isn't something that I talk about a lot, but I want to talk about it more. And it's not always easy to talk about, but I feel like it is so important. Together, we'll explore how to extend grace to ourselves, set some boundaries, and continue showing up with love even on our hardest days. Let me first take you back to some of those overwhelming days when just waking up felt exhausting, even after sleeping for 12 hours. I'd open my eyes in the morning, heavy with fatigue, and immediately wonder, how am I going to get through this day? How will I find the energy to be present and pretend everything is okay for my kids? My kids would come into my room one by one to say good morning. I'd pull together enough strength for a smile, giving each of them a hug before following them to the kitchen as they made their own breakfast. I knew I only needed enough energy to get through the morning routine. Then once they left for school, I would crawl back into my bed, my body desperate for rest. And as I would lay there before I would drift back to sleep, sometimes I would sleep another 4 or 5 hours. But some days I would have this guilt just wash over me. And I would think different things like, am I failing these kids? They deserve a good mom, a fun mom. Am I enough? And in those moments of discouragement, I would pray so hard for strength. Just enough strength to be there fully when they came home from school. Those afternoons were special because I loved hearing about their days, seeing their projects, and just sharing their lives. When it was warm outside, we would go outside. We have a nice big yard. We'd go play outside, play with our dogs or cats, or swim in our pool. Even if my body wasn't strong enough to actively participate in any of those activities, just being outside with them brought me so much joy. And on colder days, we would spend much more time inside, reading books, watching movies together, or I loved listening to my kids' laughter as they played with each other. They were always coming up with the cutest games, and they had great imaginations. I loved just hearing them play with each other. And I was really grateful that they had each other. We didn't always do crafts or big adventures, but we always shared a lot of time together, a lot of conversations. And looking back now, I realized that was more than enough. I spent a lot of good time with my kids. It wasn't maybe doing all the things that I imagined us doing, but I've realized that when we did more things at home, it didn't make their childhood bad. They still had a lot of fun. I think it's just that perspective. I've felt bad for not being able to be the mom that I wanted to be, but as my kids have gotten older, and I apologize, I'm so sorry that I couldn't always be to everything, or that I didn't have a lot of energy, and I would say things like this, and they're like, Mom, thanks, but we didn't see it like that. We knew that when you showed up for things, we were so happy that you could. It didn't matter on the times you couldn't. And that meant a lot to me because their perspective was very different than mine. And so I would encourage you, if you're dealing with chronic illness and you're a parent, try really hard to let go of all the things you're not doing and focus on the things you are. Your kids can still have a beautiful, wonderful childhood at home with you, even not feeling good. So be a little gentle with yourself and try to know that you can build these amazing connections and have great conversations in the comfort of your own home. And then as they grow and get older and they want adventures, hopefully they can go have those adventures that maybe they long to have when they weren't able to when they were younger. Something that's always been challenging for me is allowing my kids to see when I'm unwell. They always knew when I wasn't feeling well, and they knew that I wasn't feeling well a lot, but I tried really hard to put on a brave face and reassure them with a smile, wanting them to know how much joy they brought into my life. I tried really hard to shelter them from what was really going on. Acknowledging our limits can sometimes feel like admitting defeat, but I've come to realize it's actually one of the strongest and most loving things we can do for ourselves and our children. Chronic illness often pushes us to understand the importance of listening to our bodies, sometimes whether we want to or not. Ignoring these signals doesn't make us better parents. Instead, it leads us to more exhaustion and more burnout. I've also learned the value in gently communicating how I'm feeling to my kids, not overwhelming them with detailed explanations, but simple, honest statements like, "Mom doesn't have a lot of energy today, so I'm going to rest here while you play." This can help them understand and accept that it's okay to have days when we aren't feeling our best. And then by respecting and honoring my own limits, I've realized I could teach my kids invaluable lessons about resilience, compassion, and even self-care. Now, I wasn't always good at this. Like I said, I used to hide a lot from them, hoping to protect them. But now I understand that showing them genuine strength involves resting when needed, saying no to extra demands, and prioritizing our own well-being. Remember, your health and happiness are deeply interconnected with your family's well-being. You deserve compassion, and it really starts with extending kindness to yourself, so then you can have that kindness to give to your family. Parenting with chronic illness can invite us to redefine our understanding of what success looks like. If you're like me, many of us grew up believing success meant big adventures, constant activity, and endless energy. But on challenging days, that really can feel impossible to meet. So what if we gently reframe that perspective? Maybe saying that success might actually look like cuddling up, reading a book, or laughing together at a silly movie or a fun game, or just simply sharing a snack together. Or even baking if you have enough energy to do that. That was always something fun that I enjoyed doing with my kids, and letting them, even baking a cake or cupcakes, and then letting them be creative and decorate those. And yes, it may be messy, but those are some of the funnest things that I remember doing with them. And then playing with clay, or we had the kinetic sand, or just there's a lot of things you can do and visit and still enjoy being together. And it's important not to miss these precious moments because we're too busy wishing we could do more. I have spent many days on my chronic illness journey feeling overwhelmed and saddened by everything I could not do. But focusing on limitations never helped me heal or brought me any happiness. And often I didn't realize how much energy I was spending grieving my former self and the expectations I once had about motherhood. I was so consumed by what I lost that there were missed opportunities to appreciate and celebrate the beautiful moments right in front of me. I encourage you, if you're feeling like you're missing out on so many things, just try to shift your perspective. Cherish the quiet, meaningful moments with your children. Remember, most kids won't remember how elaborate your activities were. They'll remember the time they spent with you, the warmth of your hugs, and the depth of your love. They'll remember the time spent with you, and really, they won't really care what activities you're doing because they'll enjoy spending time with you. So something else that may be a challenge for some people is setting healthy boundaries. It can sometimes feel challenging or uncomfortable. Often, we may worry it might feel mean or selfish, but in reality, boundaries are very important safeguards for our physical, our emotional, and our mental well-being. When we clearly communicate our limits to our family, it is not a sign of weakness. It actually demonstrates incredible strength, self-awareness, and self-respect. Plus, when we set healthy boundaries, we teach our children how to respect and create their own boundaries as well, which is so important. It's okay to explain your illness and limitations to your children in ways they can understand, because they need to understand that you're doing the best that you can. You only have so much energy. And even though that's a hard thing, my kids are very independent. Maybe it wasn't the way I would have liked them to grow up, but they're very independent, amazing children. And I wouldn't change that because they're incredible. But one of the things, like I said, communicating to our children, I remember back when I learned I needed heart surgery to repair a hole in my heart. The stress was so overwhelming, and the uncertainty of whether I'd even make it to surgery was awful. But in the moment, my husband, Jeff, and I thought that we should shield our kids from too many details. We told him that I needed heart surgery, but everything would be okay, trying really hard to make it light and not seem like a big deal. And even though we were saying those reassuring words, of course, our mood and our stress didn't match our message. We were so stressed out. We were so worried, and our kids could feel that. And years later, when my oldest daughter, we were talking one day, and I was asking her if she remembered, that time and what was going on. And she said yes. And she told me how worried she was that I wouldn't survive it. And I realized our attempt to protect her and trying to make it seem like everything was okay, it actually created more anxiety for her. And she went to imagine the worst case scenarios because she could sense our worry without more information from us. And maybe that would have happened anyways. But since then, we've learned to be a little more transparent, trying to give our kids enough truth, not hiding it, not trying to be secretive, because they need to know what's going on. And maybe not all the details, of course, but they need to be aware because they can sense it. They know when something's not right. And I feel like it helps them feel secure and informed rather than anxious and confused. And then it does give them the opportunity to ask questions and get some of those questions answered instead of just being sad about it. And if we're not bringing it up, they're probably not going to bring it up. So it's very important to have that communication within your family. But it's also important to build our support network, and it's important to ask for help even in our families. I personally experienced overwhelming support from my family, friends, church members during some of my most difficult times. And their kindness, their service, their care were invaluable. And I hope now that I'm feeling better to offer that same kindness to others. Remember, allowing others to support you brings strength and warmth to your family and community. We've been blessed by so many wonderful people who have served us so much, and it's made such a difference. And even my kids, they have chores. They have things they have to stay on top of in our house. They do their own laundry. Mom isn't expected to do everything because I don't have the energy to do it. It's actually really good because they know how to do a lot. They can make themselves meals. They can clean up after themselves. And I think it will help them as they move forward in their own life. So let's pause together and take a moment just for you. Wherever you are, if it's safe, go ahead and close your eyes. If it's not, don't close your eyes. Just begin by taking a slow, deep breath in, feeling the air gently fill your lungs and expand your chest. And as you slowly exhale, imagine or visualize yourself releasing any tension, guilt, anxiety, or anything else that you're carrying that you feel ready to let go of. And as you take another deep breath in, wonder how it would feel to fill yourself with kindness and compassion. And as you breathe out, I wonder how it would feel to let go of all those unrealistic expectations that have been weighing you down. Just breathe in, calm. Breathe out, relax. Breathe in love and compassion. Breathe out anything that you're ready to let go of. Now softly remind yourself, My worth is measured by my love, not by how much I accomplish. Breathe deeply into these words. My worth is measured by my love, not by how much I accomplish. Just allow these words to settle gently into your heart. Allow yourself to truly believe this. You are worthy. You are enough. And as you continue breathing, connecting with that breath, you may allow yourself to recognize and honor all the simple, beautiful things that you're doing every day, even if they feel small. Remembering the small things are powerful. Maybe it's a hug, a moment shared, a smile. These moments are deeply meaningful. I encourage you to carry this affirmation with you throughout your day. Maybe write it down somewhere visible, perhaps in a journal or on a note where you see it often. And maybe later today or sometime this week, take a few minutes to journal. You could write down everything that's making you feel overwhelmed or frustrated in your parenting journey or whatever's going on in your life. Just allow those feelings to pour onto the page without judgment. Just write and write. And when you're finished, tear up or discard. And when you're finished, tear up that paper and throw it away, physically letting go of all the negative emotions. Then take another moment to write down all the beautiful things you're doing for yourself and your family. Even if it feels simple, like resting, taking a nap, or simply being present. You can acknowledge and celebrate these moments. And just give yourself permission that these reminders can fill you with a sense of peace, knowing that your love, your presence, and kindness are what truly matter the most. And I know the realities of parenting while navigating chronic illness can be really difficult. But I'd encourage you to extend grace to yourself. Redefine what that success looks like and set those compassionate, firm boundaries to protect your health and nurture your family. As you move forward this week, I invite you to reflect deeply on your own journey. How can you better honor your limits? What boundaries might you need to set, or how could you communicate clearly to your loved ones to tell them what you need? Your experiences matter, and I would love to hear your stories, insights, or strategies. So please reach out and share your thoughts. I love to know what other people are doing because it often helps me as well. And thank you for listening. Thank you for being here and being part of this community. And remember, you're stronger than you feel, more capable than you believe, and deeply loved. Until next time, keep giving yourself grace. Together, we'll keep getting through today.